Okay, so the first question I've got is from Elodie, Alexandra and Eva and Michael. So, when will under 18s with no underlying health conditions be vaccinated? And can it be administered as a nasal spray like the flu vaccine? This is a really good question, Elodie, Eva and Michael, and one that I don't think we know the answer to yet. The reason is we give vaccines to people both to protect them from getting unwell, but also to protect the whole population from getting unwell so you don't spread the disease. And what we don't know yet in children is whether or not the vaccines are worth the effort. And we always don't like to give things to children they don't need to have, and children don't like having them. So I think we're still really at a moment of uncertainty where we're not sure whether or not the benefit to children will be enough. We're doing some ongoing studies, both here in England and elsewhere in the world, to look at whether or not giving vaccines to children is going to benefit either themselves, to prevent them from getting unwell, or to help them, their family and their schoolmates. So I don't think anyone knows at the moment. The second question, whether or not it can be administered as a nasal spray, is one that is a really good question as well, because that will make it a lot easier for kids to take it. At the moment, there are no nasal spray vaccines available, but there are lots of companies working on it, and I'm sure that in the next couple of years, it will definitely be something that will be available, but at the moment, there isn't a nasal spray. So I hope that's helpful, Elodie, Alexandra and Evie from Year 9 and Michael from Year 7. Now, Stephen, aged 8, has asked, when do you think coronavirus will be over? Stephen, this is again a really good question, and I think there's lots of answers to this. So I think we can think of it both at the kind of local level, in your when will your family be back to normal, your family life, when will your school life be back to normal, when will the country, so England and the UK, be back to normal, and when will the world all kind of get back to normal, when will it be over? So I think the first thing to say is I think that in the next coming weeks to months, things will start to get normal for you and the school and everyone else. And hopefully by the end of the year, everything will, at a sort of local level, be pretty back to normal. There is a bigger question about whether or not we can still start doing lots of travelling to other parts of the world. And there are lots of parts of the world where coronavirus will still be a problem for some time. And I think we now know, I think nearly all scientists agree, that the actual virus is with us for life now. So we will never get rid of the virus. And there will always be parts of the world where it spreads a little bit, and that might happen in the UK a little bit as well. But I would think that within the next 6 months, we would start to see your lives and lives of other people in England and the UK coming pretty much back to normal, although unfortunately that probably isn't going to be true for other people elsewhere in the world, particularly in Africa and in South America. So here is another great question from Neve, who's age 10, Sophia, who's age 9, Elodie and Liana in Year 9, Alicia in Year 11 and Seb in Year 12, so it's obviously a popular question. They all ask, will the vaccine work on everyone, and how long will the vaccine protect you? And will we need a vaccination every year like the flu vaccine? So luckily we have done lots of studies on people who've had the vaccine or who have been infected and seen how long they're protected for. And because coronavirus started in about March of last year, we've actually got data from people for quite a long time now. So what we know for the first part of the question, we know that the vaccine works on nearly everyone, but not everyone. So some people, particularly people who have problems with their immune system or people who are very elderly, the vaccine doesn't work as well, although it does appear to work, in part, but not perfectly. And how long it will last, the early data suggests that probably up to 6 months in a year, we know that the vaccine works really, really well. Because we've only been vaccinating people for about 6 months, it's impossible to completely be sure how long the vaccine will last beyond that. But I think that it is likely that we will have some protection for quite a lot longer. And the question about whether or not we'll need a vaccination every year like the flu vaccine, I think we'll probably have booster vaccinations at some point, whether or not they are every year, every couple of years or every 5 years, say. It kind of depends on what happens in the next couple of weeks and months, really. And it may be, and it's probably likely, that certain people won't get those booster vaccines, but perhaps that will be for older people or people with weak immune systems. For example, I don't think for children at the moment it's likely they'll be getting booster vaccines every year, although I've been wrong before. How many types of corona vaccines have been produced? How do the different vaccines all compare to each other? This is from Chloe, aged 8, and Frankie in year 11. So vaccines are, this is quite a complex question and a good one about what kind of vaccines do. And essentially, our body is very used to managing lots of bugs and little infections that we get the whole time. And what vaccines aim to do is give you the good parts of that, which is the immune system, so the response to the bug, without the bad part, which is the actual bug. So vaccines in general, what they used to do in the old-fashioned way of making vaccines is you get a bug and you chop up little bits of it, take some proteins out of it, which are kind of bits of molecules that the immune system can recognise, and then you give that to the immune system and say, look, here's some protein from a bug, and the immune system gets to recognise that and starts to defend itself from that without ever actually seeing the bug. So then when you see the bug next time, you already know what it's like because you've seen the protein before. So that is the traditional way we make a vaccine. And the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and many other similar kinds of vaccines are based on this principle, where we have got a coronavirus, we've chopped it up and taken some bits out of it, some proteins, and we've stuck it on another virus that's very harmless and which can't replicate, and we inject that in. So what happens is you get exposed, you get a bit of the coronavirus protein, and you get an immune system response to that, but you don't actually ever see the coronavirus. Now, very cleverly, some people in America and in the UK have discovered another way of making vaccines, which is to make the body make its own protein. Now, all life in the whole world, viruses, bacteria, animals, humans, works on DNA. And DNA makes something called RNA, which then makes proteins. That's how the body works. So that's the same in a bacteria, it's the same in a virus, it's the same in the animal. And what happens is, in these posh vaccines, what they do is they take the middle part of that RNA, which is a bit like the blueprints for a factory. So the DNA might be the blueprints, the RNA is actually doing it, and the factory is the protein, the thing that's built at the end of it. So these new vaccines do, this is the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, is they take the RNA and they inject that into your arm, and your body actually makes the bug protein. It doesn't make the whole coronavirus, but it just makes part of it. And so your body actually builds lots of this protein, and then your immune system recognises it and starts to defend it. And this is a very novel vaccine technology called mRNA vaccination, and it's been shown to be very, very effective and very, very safe. And it's likely we'll start to use these more frequently for other infections and perhaps even other diseases as well.